One goal we've had for the music and sound design platform from the beginning has been to develop a functional and useful metronome for the program. The metronome that launched with the initial release has always been a placeholder, something to remind us of just how far we needed to go before it could reach its full potential. Recent feature requests from the community have reminded us of these goals, and we're excited to announce that the revamped metronome has been introduced with Music STP version 1.06a, along with the new metronome automator. These tools allow you to schedule automation to begin and end at predetermined points in a project, making it possible to develop completely self-running creations in the music and sound design platform. This tutorial will demonstrate how the new metronome functions and how to build automation with the metronome automator. As always, the metronome can be accessed from the Metronome tab in the system board's full view display. The new metronome contains a lot of information, and you may be overwhelmed by everything that you're seeing on the screen. Let's look at these features one step at a time to break it all down. First, it's important to note that the screen is split into two sections. The top section contains the metronome controls. On the right end of the controls are a secondary set of tabs that allow you to toggle between the automation view and the visual metronome for the space below. The default setting displays the metronome automation parameters, which is what we're currently seeing on the bottom two-thirds of the window. The other option switches the display over to a visual metronome. This display provides a view akin to the pendulum-like motion of traditional hardware metronomes. For the time being, we'll leave this display open and we'll focus on the metronome controls at the top of the screen. Switching the metronome on and off is done by simply pressing the Start-Stop button in the upper left corner of the display. When the metronome is turned on, the time display in the middle of the controller will let you know the metronome's current position. This display shows the current measure, beat, and tick of the metronome. I'll turn the metronome on and we can watch the display update as time progresses. The metronome can be set back to measure 1, beat 1, tick 1 at any point by pressing the Reset button. You can also send the metronome directly to any measure or beat that you may want by selecting the position you'd like to move to in the Jump To section of the display. Notice that selecting a measure number will move the display to that point in time, and selecting a beat number will shift the display to that beat within the current measure. The default speed for the metronome in a new project is 120 beats per minute, or BPM, but we can update the BPM at any time by selecting a new number on this screen. The default BPM for the project can also be updated in the Project Settings window. The default number of beats per measure is 4, but that can also be updated by selecting a new value in the beats per measure box. Finally, we can decide which division of the beat we'd like to display with the tick division. The default is set for us to see eighth notes, but we can update the display to show triplets, sixteenths, or our custom division. The custom division can also be edited to allow us to divide the beat into any number of subgroups. We could even set our tick to 1/100th of a beat. If we want to set our metronome to loop between specific points in time, we can turn on looping and define our start and stop points. Clicking the loop toggle will turn the loop on, and the loop can be turned back off by clicking the toggle again. We can define the loop duration by setting the measure and beat that we'd like the loop to begin at, and then by setting the measure and beat that we'd like to use as the endpoint. The loop can be turned on while the metronome is on, but if the metronome is already beyond the loop endpoint, you'll need to turn the metronome off and then on again to make sure that it's set to the right position. If the loop is turned off, the metronome will continue from its current position and will keep moving past the loop endpoint. The visual metronome, which we've been seeing here, displays a bar that moves back and forth in time with the metronome's beat. Changing the speed of the metronome will affect the speed of the bar, making it perfect to use in performance or practice to help you stay in time with the system's events. Now let's press the Automation tab to pull up the metronome automation display. Metronome automation shares many features with traditional automation in Music STP, and learning how to build automation parameters has already been covered in previous tutorials. If you haven't watched these previous videos, I'd recommend viewing them before continuing to understand how automation is designed in the program. This screen also utilizes presets, and if you haven't watched our preset tutorial yet, you should watch that one as well. Links to all three of these tutorials have been added to the description below the video. Each row in this view gives you access to one automation script, which can be set to start and stop at a specific point in time. Make sure to set an automation on point by choosing the measure, beat, and subbeat that you'd like the event to occur on. Any type of subdivision may be used, and this includes the options that aren't currently shown on the time display. The middle section allows us to build our automation script, and as always, we'll want to set our destination module ID, parameter number, mode, start value, end value, and ramp time. These options are identical to the ones that are available on the automator board, but we've included one additional mode. The switch mode sends a message to your module based on the start value when the automator turns on. Then, when the automation turns off, the end value will be sent out as a new message to the module. In switch mode, ramp time is ignored, and the parameters are set instantaneously to their new values. Setting an automation off time will determine when the automation messages will end, when modes are set to loop or ping pong, or when the end value is sent out on switch mode. Finally, the state display will let you know whether the automation parameter is currently turned on or off. This can be manually toggled to allow you to turn automation off before the metronome sets it off, or to test out the automation to try the results without needing to wait for the metronome to reach the appropriate point in time. Now, with everything set up, your automation track will turn on and off automatically following the metronome and the parameters that you've set. I'll put together a short demonstration now of how working with the metronome can help you gain control over your project. I've gone ahead and pulled up an easy audio player with an audio file loaded into the first available slot. I'm going to demonstrate how we can use the metronome to trigger the beginning of the file and to generate a fade-in effect. Then, 2 measures later, we'll generate a fade-out, and when the fade-out is over, I'll turn the player off. This will require a total of 3 automation rows to execute. I'll set the automation ID for all 3 of our messages to m_test, which is what I've named the file player. The play stop button for the first player is parameter 4, and the volume knob is parameter 8. I'll use these to set the first 3 rows. The first row will take care of turning the player on and off, so we'll set the mode to switch. We can turn the player on with a value of 1 and off with a value of 0. In switch mode, ramp time is ignored. We'll need one message to turn the volume up and a separate message to turn the volume down. We'll make these one-off messages, since we only need these events to happen once. We'll turn the volume up by setting the start value to 0 and the end value to 1, and we'll have the knob ramp up over 2 seconds. Then, when it's going to be turned down, we'll want to send the ramp in the other direction. I'll set the value from 1 down to 0 over 2 seconds again. I want the file to turn on and the volume to turn up at the beginning of the song, so we'll leave the automation on parameters at measure 1, beat 1, tick 1. Then, at the beginning of measure 2, we'll turn the volume back down. I'll set the third message to begin at measure 3, beat 1, tick 1. At 60 BPM, it'll take exactly 2 beats of time to turn the volume down, so at measure 3, beat 3, we'll switch the file player off. I'll ignore the automation off values for the second and third message, since one off automation will turn off on its own. Now, I'll reset the metronome and hit start. Keep your eye on the easy file player and the metronome to watch its parameters update in real time with the running values. We can see from this demonstration that the 32 automation rows could be quickly filled up during the creation of a project. Thankfully, you can use an automation row to switch from one saved set to another. By setting the automation ID on a row to msdp_metronome, we can send a message back to the metronome automator. We'll want to use parameter 0 to switch to a new set in the saved preset box. If we use switch mode and set the start point to the preset that we'd like to select, then when the metronome reaches the automation on point, the new set of presets will be activated. With 32 automation rows and 78 preset spaces available, you can create up to 2,946 automation messages per project. If that's not enough, you can create additional preset files, although switching them out during a performance must happen manually or automatically using a system score. This concludes the introduction to the metronome and metronome automator. I hope these new tools allow you to craft even more engaging songs and help you come closer to realizing the perfect idea in Music SDP. If you found this video useful, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you want to keep up with future demonstrations and tutorials. To download a completely free copy of this software, go to www.musicsdp.com or follow the link in the description below this video. If you believe in our project and the value of providing powerful and exciting music creation tools to everyone free of charge, consider making a donation to our team. A link to the donation page can also be found in the description. We'll have more videos and updates out regularly, so until next time, have fun making music, and thanks for watching.